broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, welcome, nerds! Welcome to the King of the Nerds AfterBuzz After Show here on AfterBuzz. If you haven't already, go to youtube.com/AfterBuzz, hit subscribe, then go to iTunes and SoundCloud. We're there as well. Hit subscribe there. I'm your host, Yael. You can tweet at us during the show using the hashtag ABTV. KOTN. I know the letters. I know the letters of this show. I'm your host, Yael. You can tweet at me during the show as well, at Yael. That's YAELTYGIEL. And of course, I have with me Xander.
Hello.
Tell them where they can tweet at you during the show.
You can tweet me at Xanderific, 2 R's, 1 F, awesome. With an X.
Yeah. We are talking about nuclear nerd game. That was great.
Thanks.
That was like
I'm like a Foley machine.
Yeah, that was that was perfect. Last week we talked with Ori.
Yeah.
Oh, Ori. And I asked him about his Horcrux, and he said he couldn't tell me, and I was like, "What?" And I predicted, and I was right, which never happens.
Right? Did you say a historical name or just?
No, I just said it was going to be some random head.
Ah, I see.
Who was? Do you know?
It
what
was,
the head was?
Tesla. It was Nikola Tesla.
Nice. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. And today we have with us, I'm so sad but so excited, we have Heather with us today.
Hey.
Heather. Hi.
Hi.
I don't know if you've been watching the after show, but I keep saying that you are the nerd that I relate to the most, and I'm very happy to be talking to you, but also very sad that means that you are gone.
Yeah, I mean, I was outplayed, so.
Well, you played very well, and I want to talk to you about this episode. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I can hear it. Like there was a shift in your voice.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have been really sad. Like I got messages from people being like, "I cried so hard when you were eliminated," and I was like, "Well, at least I got to go out with a bang."
You did.
You did.
Literally.
Let's talk about how you went out. You were playing the nuclear nerd off.
Yes.
And I want to talk about the goo.
So it was glue based. So whenever you see like my interviews after I'm covered in it, it's like glue is slowly drying on me the entire time. And it smelled like elementary school, basically.
That's funny because I told Yael earlier that it definitely smelled like semen. Which may have been my elementary school experience.
I'm so uncomfortable.
It was super, super cold, and I warned them whenever I saw what was going on. I was like, I'm going to get into that vat. I have short little T-Rex arms. Like, this is not going to work. And they were like, yeah, okay, Heather. And so I totally ruined their microphones by plunging inside of there because they didn't waterproof mic me, but I don't lie to people. If I say I'm going to do something.
But did they waterproof the mics to go into the pool when you guys were swimming?
Yes. So I knew that they had waterproof mics. They just didn't feel like it was worth it to give me one.
Whatever. They learned their lesson.
Yeah, right?
Learned their mic.
That's to make me.
So it's not. I'm really upset that it was glue based. Like,
oh, why?
Because who does that?
Yeah, it was pretty gross. Like, overall super gross. Like, from the first time that I touched it and started pulling stuff out, I was like, It was very cold.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I imagined it was cold for Bobby.
Oh, yeah. Who knew he had such hairy arms? I didn't.
He is a bear. He is covered in fur.
Well, that's a weird thing to say when you're trying to, or to see when you're trying to like psych yourself up for a competition. Like, you look up and you see Bobby dressed like that, and you're like, well, okay.
I wonder if he owns that.
I doubt it.
Now.
I bet it was a rental.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if I were him, I would now own that. I could find use for that. So Heather, you are the one who, taking us back a few episodes, you started the Kinsey Discussion.
Yeah.
Which I think needs to be applauded, to be able to just not only be like straight up, hey, here's what we're going to talk about, here's who I am, I'm putting it on the table, but also to have such a discussion happen on TV. And it's so rare that people are not only talking about it, but that they're talking about it in such a
candid way.
Yeah, candid, but like, here are my percentages. Let me explain this to you.
Everybody was super great. So I got made fun of a lot because I start the conversation with, does everybody know I'm mostly gay?
Yeah.
But it's like, when you go into a conversation like that, you know that it's going to be awkward no matter what you do. And especially because we went around the table and it was boys looking for single girls is what it was. So the boys started the conversation and they were like, are there even any single ladies here? Let's go around and talk about our relationship status. And I was like, well, but also probably not for you. So whenever it got to me, I was like, either I can be like really awkward about this, or I can make everybody else feel really awkward about it, and that's my preferred style. So
Right.
like, everyone knows I'm pretty gay.
This is why we relate.
Right. Well, and it's like a discussion that queer people have all the time is that you don't just come out once, you come out all the time to different situations in your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, even sometimes when you think that you've made it abundantly clear,
Right.
and people still don't get it. Because they're like, oh, you said girlfriend. I thought you meant like your best friend, like your gal pal. Like,
Yeah.
no. I said girlfriend.
I think it was just so wonderful. And you're right. You're not going to be uncomfortable. Let me make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that was so wonderful and should be applauded. Literal applause.
Also, it's one of the things that production didn't necessarily have to put in there because it has nothing to do with the game. So,
Right.
like, bravo on them for thinking that was important enough to show on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel like this show, and I've said it before, does that a lot. They find things that other shows would either use for dramatic effect or leave out because it doesn't have dramatic effect. And this show instead is like, no, these are people.
Yeah.
Here are people doing things that people do.
Yeah.
Also, like, this wasn't known about me when I was cast, so it wasn't one of those things where they were like, let's grab a gay girl. Like,
Right.
It was just, I'm a nerd and also I'm gay, so hi. Like,
So where is girlfriendforheather.com?
man, girlfriends, that's a doozy. I don't know if I'm looking to, like, date somebody, really, so... More like girl playthings for Heather.
Heather's got to come to visit LA. Is what's happening. That's happening. But let's talk about girlfriendforthomas.com.
Oh, right. As the webmaster for Girlfriend for Thomas.
So we have a bunch of applicants, but I'm releasing them to Thomas slowly because I have a selection process. Because I'm afraid that Thomas would jump on any cute girl, and he deserves an excellent girl.
Ah.
Yeah, so I've been going through the surveys. He's gotten girls who are mailing him gifts to his house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had a friend from high school who I guess watches the show, and she messaged me and she was like, I see that Thomas's favorite animal is like a whale or a dolphin. What if I sent him a bunch of origami, like whales and dolphins? Do you know what his favorite colors are? And it's like, she's super cute. She's about to graduate from medical school, and so it's like, that's my number one prospect. Hope she's not watching this.
I know, like, not to out her or anything, but...
Yeah, so I've been slowly swinging. The response was pretty great, especially considering that I didn't know that was going to make it into the show, so I had to put it together super fast. But I don't lie. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So I made a website.
Yeah.
And I visited.
Yes, I applied.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I applied twice, actually.
I did. Just to make sure that it got through.
So Thomas's brother applied once.
I've been scouring LA because Thomas is local. I'm looking for local girls.
Yeah.
Exactly, and he's so sweet.
He is.
Any girl would be lucky to have Thomas.
Yeah. I want to know what is your process that you're going through to like filter the women.
Oh, well, so this might get a little offensive. So if you list Big Bang Theory as one of your top shows, I don't let you through because I feel like you'll think that Thomas is a novelty.
Oh.
He's more than a novelty.
Uh-huh.
So that's one thing that's really if you are completely disgusted at the idea of any of the My Little Pony questions, it's okay if you're like, I don't know a lot about My Little Pony, but if you're completely disgusted at that prospect, no.
Right.
You don't get through. Anybody who's young doesn't get through.
Like too young.
Anybody who I feel like they're joking or like taking this not very seriously doesn't get through. Because I'm not going to let a woman play with Thomas. Like, Thomas deserves a gym. Gym girlfriend for Thomas.com.
Yeah.
I heard that a lot of like 12, 14-year-old girls were applying.
That's our demo for the show most of the time.
Yeah, there are lots of really young girls, and that's what I told Thomas. Is I was like, Thomas, you're getting a bunch of children. And he was like, I don't want to be arrested, Heather. And I was like, I'm on this.
Oh no.
Okay.
This wasn't childhood playmate for Thomas.com.
Okay. Well, let's get back to the show then. I just had to clarify because when Thomas was here, he was telling us that Heather has the reins and she's filtering. So I want to get the answers.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about going into the throne room.
Yeah.
And hearing that not only was your name called, it was a unanimous vote.
I knew that it was going to be me, first of all. So I wasn't really surprised because had my team have voted, I was very close to both Jonathan and Amanda. And that's why Amanda in an interview says there's a 50% chance of me going in because Colby was sure. And then it wasn't going to be me because both Jonathan and Amanda were like, well, Heather is going to be my closest individual ally when it gets to an individual game. So whenever I told them, I went to House Hulavu and I was like, hey, here's the scenario. I'd like you to choose. I knew that it was going to be me. And there's actually an interview where I was like, last time House Hulavu was very quiet about their decision. It was the least expected person, which was Jacob. So I was like, so that's how I know that it's going to be me. It wasn't really a super surprise. And then also, I mean, it shows that the other team supported me, but they were very much like, this is the person that we think is the strongest to take down Colby. And if she doesn't, then we've eliminated a strong competitor. So either way, two very strong players go home. Or two very strong players go in, one goes home.
Yeah, and they kind of made that the angle that they played it, like who's going to beat Colby if we send someone into the nerd off? And it was either going to be, it seemed like it came down to you or Jonathan.
Yep, that's exactly where it came.
Yeah. So,
which is funny because I think Amanda would have done the best in this nerd off.
Right. And that's the hard part is you don't know what it's going to be at all. Right. Like it could be theme based, but then it could be any game for the nerd off.
Well, and also in past seasons they've had a game nerd off where you get an assistant, right? And Ben is like a huge tabletop gamer, so I'd already talked to him and been like, if you send me in, you're my assistant.
Right.
And he was like, yes, absolutely, undoubtedly, for sure. Like, so.
Interesting, because from the way it's shot from someone watching it just as a viewer, it really looked like everybody was going to send in Jonathan, and then he had to really flip everybody.
Yeah, he went.
Well, that was kind of the situation. I mean, he did, like, once you get Caitlin, so I know that Ben always wanted to send Jonathan. But then once you get so many people, like once you send the threat to so many people, then they're like, well, who's the second option? Right.
Interesting.
So, like, looking back on it then, is there a different way that you would have played the strategy to kind of stay out of the nerd off, or?
No, I mean, so if I wanted to stay out of the nerd off, what I would have done is let my team pick, because then I would be safe. Like, that was undoubtable, right?
Yeah.
The thing is I had told Amanda in the very beginning that I was on her side completely. And I spent a lot of the game trying to convince Jonathan that I was also on his side completely. And so that morning, like the morning when everyone was going to vote, I went up to Amanda and I was like, hey, I've thought about this a lot. It would be you. Undoubtedly, it would be you. But I couldn't live if the last thing that you did in this game was have me send you in. So I won't.
Right.
And that was pretty much it. Was I was like, I've spent so much, like if I had betrayed Jonathan, I had spent so much of the game trying to prove my friendship to him that all of that would be a lie. And with Amanda, I had spent so much of the game being her best friend. Like when she hugs me in the end and she's like, you're my best friend, that's not a lie. Like Amanda and I are so close. And so I was like, I got to go out. Like if I was going to go out, at least I went out in a way that I didn't betray anybody who I love. And that's more than a lot of people can say. So
coming into like King of the Nerds in general, with you as your personality, did you expect to make these kind of connections on this show?
No. You guys told me that I was one of the most aggressive people coming in, because what I said is, no offense to you, but I was like, I've watched this show before, and I'm better than all of these people. I can win this game, and I don't like any of them. So I won't have any emotional attachments. So this is going to be super easy. Like, I get to go in and I get to stomp on people.
Right.
And it's going to be a little bit unfair how, like, overpowered in this situation I will be. And then I met Amanda, and things started to change. And then in one of the first episodes, I pulled Jonathan aside and I was like, you're the only person here playing this game as hard as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I like you because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so those were kind of my two friends. It's like Amanda was like an instant soulmate, and Jonathan was the only person who was half as observant as I was, which is why he was scared of me.
Right.
I feel like that's a very Caitlin mentality.
Yeah.
Because up until last episode,
Anthem.
she was like, I'm just here to win. I don't care. I don't need to make alliances. I don't need to do anything. I'm just going to beat everybody because I'm amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. I went in to make alliances so that way I could destroy them. Like,
because that's playing the game.
I went in to be like, yeah, we can totally be friends. Bye.
Yeah.
But was it you who wanted to vote Caitlin out earlier because she was boring?
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my favorite. She's not here to play the game. She's boring.
Yeah, well, so the idea behind the Secret Six, which wasn't ever quite depicted, was it was the people who we thought were behaving interestingly in Nerd Offs and Nerd Wars, or like in Nerd Wars specifically. So when we had a meeting, we were like, here are the people who we think are strong competitors in the Nerd Wars, so that way whenever it gets to an individual game, then it'll be anybody's ball.
Sure.
So but the thing about people like Caitlin and Colby is you can tell that they're very strong because you get to see their confessionals. We didn't get to see their confessionals.
Yeah.
So all we had to base off of them, especially for people on the other team, were how they performed in challenges where we could see them.
Yeah.
A little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel about we knew that the Secret Six would have to get disbanded this episode.
Yeah.
But how did you feel, watching it now, knowing that Jonathan outed the entire Secret Six to Caitlin?
or a version of the Secret Six, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the thing about Jonathan is Jonathan thinks that he's very smooth and very sneaky, but he's not. He really likes to stroke his own ego with how smart he is, but I would argue that he's less observant than I am. So I knew that he had an alliance with Caitlin. Like, that was a thing that I knew the entire time. I just didn't know how receptive Caitlin was to it. And until this episode, she hadn't been very receptive. Like, she hadn't even used the word alliance before. So...
And it seemed like, out of nowhere, Rochelle kind of became a key player in between the teams.
I would argue no. I would say that Rachel was Jonathan's pawn in this. Like, he was like, I know that I can pull her because she's not necessarily very strategic, right?
Sure.
So Jonathan was like, I have an in with this girl, and she's also on your team, so you trust her. And especially because when Caitlin approached Jonathan, what she said is I think that you, me, Rachel, and Colby, those were Caitlin's four. So when Jonathan brings Caitlin to her as an additional piece from the Secret Six, then it's a piece that she already asked for.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that Rachel has done much strategy necessarily, but she's been involved in a lot of it. Like, she's definitely she definitely has connections to the right people to be protected.
Right.
Interesting. So do you think she might be, we talked about it last week, that she's flying under the radar and that she might... do you think that, I guess you can't really say. Yeah. I was like, I'm asking a question that you cannot answer.
I will say that the whole point of the Secret Six, in our minds, was to prevent people from flying under the radar to win. So that was our initial intent. Whether or not that plays out is to be seen. Interesting.
Let's talk about Penn Jillette, because one, everyone loves Penn, but also like the fact that you can out-talk him, which because I relate to you, I was like, I got this.
Challenge
challenge accepted.
There was a lot of banter that happened that isn't shown in the episode where it was just super funny. So my favorite moment was we went first in like the Picto Nerdy, and so we had like these big expo markers, and he said, Penn Jillette was like, I think that we're going to need additional markers because these have cooties. And I looked at him and I licked the marker from tip to bottom and said, seems fine to me, and extended it. And he was like, well, I guess I have to use this one. It was a bunch of little sassy things like that ended up leading to that comment.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, and then the rapport that he had, because Curtis and Penn are friends, and so they went back and forth, and Curtis got like mock angry type of thing, but it was really a lot of fun.
He was a great guest judge. And then Rochelle was super great too. Like she asked us a bunch of like personal questions. Like, she was so nice. She was like, so do you guys have kids? Like, where do you live? Blah, blah, blah. And it was like totally different than Penn. Like, entirely different.
That's I want to invite everyone over to my place to play games with Penn and Rochelle. Like, that would be so fun.
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying before, when we saw this challenge like on the roster, we were like, nerdy game night, that's not going to be anything. That's going to be kind of crappy. But it was one of the most fun things to watch happen because everybody plays the party games and they got really into it.
Well, yeah, so the thing is that everybody who is on the show at this point is insufferably competitive. So we've tried doing this before, like since the show, been like, hey, let's redo this because it was so much fun. And we did it with people who weren't on the show, and they thought that we were awful.
Right, because
we took everything way too seriously. And, had like inside jokes and codes that we could all draw upon, and they were just like, wow, this is terrible. Like, this is no fun for anybody except for you.
Right. Never ending story, man.
Exactly.
You named your loin product after it.
Loin product. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Also, I love that you can kind of see the break between, like, everybody that's doing confessions, like, you're genuine and you're saying your feelings, but in that confessional, you saw the difference between talking to the camera and the audience and talking to the producer, like, on the side.
I'm surprised that they left that in there, but he kind of, like, cut me off with, like, did you just say loin product?
Yeah.
So shocked.
Whatever.
And, like, as a fan of reality TV, I love seeing that. I love the break there.
So that's what we've had 3 big breaks. We've had Rachel's look at you getting your reality, that one, and then Jonathan's at the end of this episode when he's crying.
And it's like, oh, it really matters.
Yeah.
We saw at the end of this episode, you've made an impact on your team and the other people, and I know we're not the only ones sad to see that you're gone.
Yeah. Oh, and
oh no,
gone.
we lost her
in more than one way.
Heather,
oh no,
Heather,
it's connecting.
Oh my god.
Okay. Right during the heartfelt message. That was the heartfelt time of the show.
That's what I get for being sentimental.
Yeah, you break technology.
I'm sorry. While our engineers work to fix that, I'm going to take a moment to thank our fans.
Hey!
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us, tuning in, streaming, watching, downloading, streaming, watching.
You nailed all of it.
Watching it live, watching it later, tweeting, commenting. Yep, I got it. Plus one-ing, thumbs upping.
Hey!
Okay, thank you. So we clearly are fans of this show.
Yes.
Someone was on the show, now works for the show, spends his life living the show over and over again.
Yep, especially during this time.
Yeah, so we are clearly big fans, and we do this for you guys. We ask you guys to do one very simple thing for us. Go onto iTunes, rate and review, subscribe, and when you rate and review and leave a comment, we read it on the air.
What?
We have 3 comments, guys.
Yay!
I'm going to read them real quick while we try to get Heather back. So we've got...
She's back, but it's fine.
Well, she can wait. So we got a 5-star review, Simply Perfect, from the Elite Cade. Such a great companion podcast for an equally great show. Love hearing other opinions on the show. Xander is the bomb.
Yay!
Continue making great shows. We also got 5 stars. Best show from Tada Honey. 11.
Ta-da, honey.
Who says, love Yael as a host. Oh, thanks. And it was great seeing Xander guest hosting.
Yay! If you could just make all the comments about me, that would be great.
Yeah, just keep commenting on Xander. 5 stars, much nerd, so wow! Exclamation point.
Doge.
Greatest title ever. From 1337 Mando, who says, love
Leet
listening.
Mando.
You know who this is?
Leet 1337. Is Leet. I'm a hacksaw. I'm in.
Okay.
No, never mind. Whatever.
1337 Mando says, way to make me feel not cool enough. Love listening / watching. Yael does awesome interviewing the King of the Nerds cast. Thanks.
Yay.
Thank you. And seeing Xander and Papa Nerd is so much fun. Papa Nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, Curtis, he will be back.
He will be back next week.
Yeah. He better be
I might have
next
promised that last week, but he will be back.
Thank you, 1337.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Heather.
Yeah.
Hi. I was giving you a heartfelt message about how amazing you are and how you definitely touched everyone in a good way.
Yeah, pretty much everyone cried when I left, which is great. I also got people to hug me even though I was covered in glue.
Yeah, that was great to watch.
Caitlin told me, she was like, I knew that you were friends because you didn't just hug me, you asked first.
Oh, yeah.
It's cute.
That's sweet.
Yay.
So I can't ask you who you think should win.
Yeah, you can. I can tell you exactly what I thought when I was there.
Finally, someone who will answer my question.
So,
All right.
what I said is Amanda hugs me and she said, you're my best friend, right? And I pulled away and I grabbed her face and I said, and now you have to win. And then Jonathan came up and I put my hand on his head and said, you'd be okay, I guess. And so that's who I'm rooting for, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
Amanda, 80%, Jonathan, 20%.
It's split down, 80-20 again.
I feel like I know those percentages. Have you, aside from, I want to say like the premiere weekend, have you been hanging out with the other nerds?
Yeah, so Amanda actually sold her house because we're going to move close together. So, like, completely sold her house. And then Lily lives 7 minutes away. I talk to most people from the cast still on like a fairly regular basis. Some people every day. Like Todd, I talk to Todd every single day.
Oh, Todd.
I know, I love Todd.
Todd is great. I want to talk about Colby's face. And I mean,
full Colby face?
Full Colby.
I don't know what happened this episode because it feels like it wasn't just during the games. It felt like something has been taken from him in terms of happiness.
Well, let me just say that whenever you take point on a challenge and that challenge fails, that sucks.
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of where this all started was, you know, before that, Jonathan and I led every nerd war. And then Colby gets the nerd anthem, and it's his challenge, and we don't win. That is really hard to deal with. And then to be sent into the nerd off following a challenge that you took point on, that sucks. And then this episode, the opposite team sent him in.
So he basically can work out that everybody's against him.
Yeah, I believe that he said at one point, now I know there are 7 knives pointed towards me instead of 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, so of course he's in a bad mood.
Well, I mean,
but also he just has that face, like that's his resting face.
You know what though? Up until this episode, he had like bored resting face, and now he has angry resting face.
Well, he has I'm gonna take down every single person that I need to face. Is what he has.
Yeah.
I just during the nerd war, that face.
Yeah.
He was
playing
really
a game.
hesitant to be our buzzer guy, and I was like, actually, you don't get a say in the matter. Because I know that you're going to do better than everybody else. And so he was like, yeah, he was hesitant and super stressed about that because he was like, any really specific nerd celebrity, I don't know.
Right.
I was like, I believe in you, go for it.
Well, and you guys did great. I mean, that game...
And it was that close. Like, it really was.
I mean, the first score... I have the scores. The first round was tied.
Right.
The second round, Smash had 280, Hulu had 300. Then Smash had 490, and Hulu had... Is that 510 that I wrote? I can't read my notes. Yes.
Yeah, so they won by 1 question.
Yeah. My little pony.
The slow-mo
Which the fact that it was so close makes the never-ending story thing so much harder for
me. Oh no. No, you, Amanda. You named your baby after this. It's you.
I pointed to other people and was like, no. No, like, you. Baby. Like, oh, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
From now on, though, I think she knows when you point you
baby.
She knows exactly what to say.
Did you see Atreyu made a video that I retweeted on my Twitter where he was like cheering for me?
Aww.
And it was really cute because he was like, I love you. And it was like, yeah, it's the Atreyu that I didn't know when I was so passionately gesturing to his birth.
They're both adorable. Both of Amanda's kids.
Oh, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Well, I'm so sad. I don't know who I relate to anymore.
Aw. But I think one of the things that they try to do well on the show is that you can kind of relate to almost everybody on the cast. Like, there's a little bit of you in some of everybody.
There's nobody left who is as talkative as I'm gonna just tell you whatever the F is on my mind now,
right?
Because I need to say it.
There's nobody else. It was basically me and Todd. So.
Yeah. I real quick before we let you go, I want to know about Caitlin's trying to sabotage Colby thing, because when she walks back in and is like, I just gave him the hardest way to do it, and I don't know about, because it looked like everyone else understood that no one believed her.
Yeah,
well, everybody was like, okay, why would you even come and tell me this right now, because you're distracting me by talking to me. So yeah, everyone was kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But also, it was like, so then that boiled down to who was studying with me. Well, it was the Secret Six, so it was all these people who I was already friends with. It's like, okay, yeah, nobody really bought that. But she did a very good job of covering her tracks in case I did come back, because then she could at least have that.
Yeah.
She would still be the one outsider.
Right.
No, but I feel terrible saying it, but at that moment, it was like, oh, you don't know how to do this.
Yeah, nobody's going to believe this.
No, you shut your mouth. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, is you don't say anything.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, she didn't go in looking to play a social game, and then she had recently been thrust into a social situation.
Yeah.
And it's like, a lot of us play like deceptive board games or things of that nature where we've had to deal with this before in our lives. I don't know that Caitlin Spack has ever encountered a thing like this in engineering class, right? So
yeah,
she's new.
And you guys are getting a lot of hate for like making alliances and scheming, but like it's happened.
Like competitive board games.
Right. And it's happened every season. They just haven't been as vocal about it as they have been for yours because it was so essential to the storyline.
Well, I think that the first problem was that it was an all-women's alliance, and you can't have ladies working together.
Yeah. There's the problem right there.
Boys, then it became not about sexism, which it was before. It became about being elitist.
Right.
But it was like the Secret Six was the natural fallout of all these individual alliances. Like I had an alliance with Jonathan, I had an alliance with Amanda. Amanda had an alliance with me and Ben. Ben had an alliance with Lily. And so it was like, these of course were the people who we were going to include because they were the people who were already playing the social game.
Yeah.
Didn't have to violate anybody. It just so happened to be 6 people.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm so excited.
It's okay. So you always look forward to yourself, like being on TV. Like, what are they going to show of me? I don't even remember what I did, and I say some weird stuff. I did not realize how like my word choice sometimes is very, very weird. But I will say that episode 6 is the episode that I have been looking forward to the most.
It's a great one.
Which says a lot because. I mean, I'm in the other episodes, and I'm vain, right? But episode 6 is the one that I've been looking forward to the most. So whenever people are like, I'm so sad that you're gone, I'm gonna quit watching, I'm like, please don't.
Yeah.
Like, please don't.
Well.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Well, thank you for the plug for next episode, but also thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, no problem.
Why don't you tell people where they can find you on Twitter, Instagram, whatever else you want to promote?
I am Heather Klus on every website. That's Heather Klus. That's not my last name. It is a joke based on the Iliad because if Patroclus is Patrick with a Klus, then anybody can be a Klus. Yeah, joke from way back in the day. So I'm Heather Klus on absolutely every website available.
Awesome. Every website available.
Yeah.
MySpace and Friendster included.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Friendster.
That was a thing. Thank you again. We're so sad, but thank you for coming and joining us via Skype. And hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, anytime. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
I have to say, and I do say this in my vlog on youtube.com/XanderVlogs.
Wait, say it again?
youtube.com/XanderVlogs. That Heather was one of my favorite people to watch on the show this season because I loved her commentary. I loved her mouth and like the things that she, I went there.
Mouth?
Yep. And the things that
great
she
mouth.
would say is just hilarious and it really made it for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm sad. But let's break down the show real quick.
Yeah. So
the Nerd War are nerdy party games with mysterious celebrity nerds.
Right.
I knew, like, I know who Penn Jillette is, right? Obviously. But I didn't realize that he too was a nerd.
You kind of have to be in the magic sphere.
Yeah, I'm learning that the more I hang out with magicians.
Right. They're all nerds.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me that those are things that connect.
That's one of the nerds that we haven't had represented yet on as a contestant, like a magician or... And I always say like psychology or like social sciences too. We haven't had a representation for that.
I have people I'm going to throw in.
Yeah.
And we also had Rochelle Lefebvre.
Rochelle Lefebvre.
Yep. Who, again, surprisingly nerdy.
Yeah. She took it all in stride because I know that it can get tough for like a Hollywood actress to get down and dirty with all things nerdy.
Yeah. Nice.
But she was totally game to play and was a great unexpected like pleasure.
And she volunteered as tribute.
Yeah, right?
Which was great.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she better say something.
Yeah.
Otherwise that's weird.
Because I would think you'd feel so bad that like you shattered this team's dreams.
Yeah. I came in to help you win and I failed.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if I were her, I would be like, this was all my fault.
Right.
So that they all felt good. Like, oh yes, let's blame this mysterious person who just joined us for a game and ruined everything.
Right.
And I read the scores. We had Name That Nerd, Pick So Nerdy, and Panto Nerd. So Celebrity, Pictionary, and charades.
Yep, exactly.
Just making sure we're all on the same page. Yeah.
Which would you excel at? Like, what kind of party game is your jam?
Oh, Name That Nerd.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. Also, I would do well with Panto Nerd because of a game that I used to play in improv. But Pick So Nerdy, I would be completely screwed. Yeah, I'm a stick figure
But
person.
at that point, like, I like to draw, and I'm an okay artist, but when you're playing that game at those high stakes, you're just drawing stick people anyway, because you just want to get the point across.
But my stick people are not... Like, they can't do anything. Yeah. This is a...
Like, okay, a man.
Which man?
Yeah.
It's a man. Do you know which one it is? No, I would do very well at Name That Nerd. That's where I excel. Let's talk about the nerd off.
Yeah.
The nuclear nerd off.
Right. It's an interesting twist on like word jumble and puzzles.
Liked this game a lot.
Yeah.
That said, I would have failed miserably because I can't look at letters and rearrange them in my head. I don't do that. That's not a thing my head does. Luckily it wasn't Sudoku.
Right.
I would have not been able to do that either.
Right.
And I think the greatest sentence of this episode was, it's the most boring thing to watch on TV?
Watching someone solving a Sudoku puzzle.
Yeah.
That, or, because that was Ben, and Ben also had another amazing line of, we're going to do what every other American family does. Sit down, repress our feelings, and have a lukewarm meal.
What bothered me was that it was silent after he said it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the greatest, that's so funny.
Right? But they were really depressed. And so I've had some of those dinners too in Nerdvana where you're like, oh, someone's going home.
Was it, I mean, you were backstage, you were there when this happened?
For most of it, yeah.
So you've seen an unedited version of them sitting? No.
No. I was there, and sometimes I would peek into the control room and see things that were happening, but mostly I was there for the challenges because I would do the behind the scenes.
Okay.
Like, you're not going to believe what happens next.
Okay. Do it again?
You're not going to believe what happens next.
All right, cool.
I'm Xander from season 2. That's what they made me do everything. Every take.
In that voice?
Yeah.
Awesome. But I feel like that dinner... And I don't know if it was edited that way or if it actually was, whatever meals they had, was so awkward.
Yeah.
And it surprises me because I feel that I know what Heather would do. And it surprises me that she wasn't like, who farted?
Yeah,
like
right.
Something to break it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and people don't realize this in their everyday lives, but like meals are boring most of the time. And like you're on when you're in the challenges and when you're working on things. So to sit down and be peaceful and to not talk is kind of a nice break.
I don't understand.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think Heather does either.
You're right.
Right? If I know Heather, and I seem to believe I do, no. Some stupid sentence would come out of our mouth.
Sure, yeah. Just to break the tension.
Yeah, because that's what happens. So we've got this word jumble, which I was like, they're letters. I don't know what this and our sentence comes out to send help. A band of mutants has attacked lab. Radiation is at lethal levels. Warhead could detonate at any moment.
Yes, and they had to solve the puzzle first, like have all the letters up there before they could start working on the project that started it all.
So they had to put the pieces up before taking them down?
Because even Colby even says, like, I know what the project's supposed to be, and I could just take those letters, but as part of the game, you have to solve it out and confirm that it's correct before you can move on to the bottom one.
Okay. Because I was like,
Manhattan.
Manhattan is the greatest thing ever. And then he's delayed 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he still wins.
Right. Well, and it looked like from what they edited that Heather didn't have all the pieces yet. And so that was a big thing, because when you're in that situation, it's going through your mind like, do I start solving the puzzle or do I find all the pieces first?
Right.
And if you get frustrated finding the pieces, go over and solve the puzzle for a bit and then come back to it. So even though she had that 30 seconds, if she didn't have all the pieces, she couldn't solve the whole puzzle.
Right. And so she couldn't, it wasn't like last time where they both, like the last game, they both froze.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
like as soon as he hit the buzzer, they had to confirm whether it was right or wrong, and then it was wrong, so she gets 30 seconds on her own, and he couldn't do anything.
30 seconds to do whatever.
Whatever she wants.
Okay. So then I'm so sad.
Yeah.
Just so sad. The whole thing was very sad for me.
But very entertaining. It's a great episode.
No, it was a great episode.
Yeah.
When Heather jumps in.
Yeah, that slow motion camera.
Yeah.
So good.
And we talked about a little bit earlier how I feel about this.
Yeah.
And that and you told me that they weren't allowed to push over the barrels.
Right. They could not dump out the barrels.
Right. Which, I mean, what are the other options? Right. So aside from digging and taking stuff out.
Which is what they were looking for.
Yeah. And she jumped in.
Yeah.
Which surprises me that they didn't think that was an option.
Right. Or they didn't think that they would follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think a lot of the people running were like, okay, they'll get like waist deep like forward and be digging things out that way, or like climbing over the barrel, but not like fully submerged, because once you're in that, it was hard to move around in it. So to be in the barrel and scooping things out as well would be hard.
I mean, I'm thinking the first thing I would do is do that, because then you just
With displacement.
Yeah, and then you solved a lot of trouble there.
Yeah. Well, also they didn't know what was in there. They didn't know. They knew that the puzzle pieces were in there, but what else? Like Heather was saying, there could be live snakes in there. They did it in the other one.
So what was in there?
It was
aside from goop and hands.
Yeah, body parts. There was like some spools that they had.
Spools?
Just whatever they could find in production. I think they just threw in.
What props do we have that we can cover in crap?
Right, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So then I'm assuming. Yeah, why would you put live snakes? They would not be live in that goo.
You never know.
Yeah, but you put them in that goo and they're no longer alive.
Yeah.
That childlike scent of semen.
No, yeah.
Ridiculous.
This high point of my career right there. Sew that on a pillow.
All right, let's talk about the Secret 6/Secret 4.
Yeah.
Which has basically disbanded.
Right.
And I felt like, at least the way it was shot and the way it was, or not the way it was shot, the way it was edited for the audience, Jonathan kind of got thrown under the bus by the Secret 6, at least on his
the way that it seemed like well, okay, here's how I understood the situation. Is they gave the power to the blue team to vote for Colby, so they knew Colby was going in, and they had to pick someone that they weren't allowed to pick then. You know, because they were going to pick Colby, and the blue team was going to pick the other person to go in.
Yeah.
So they then had to rationalize out, like, okay, who among the three of us are able to beat Colby? And then let's go have a conversation one-on-one with the blue team and talk it through with them as well.
Okay.
So Heather and Amanda on their own came to the conclusion the person that could beat him in any situation would probably be Jonathan. Then Jonathan heard about that, and he was probably making a case for Heather or Amanda, whatever it would be.
Yeah.
But you hear something like that, and it automatically is like, okay, they've turned on me. They're playing this game as hard as I am.
Right.
And so I've got to go make my move.
And he really, I guess, even if they hadn't it seems like they had their mind made up that he was going in, but he changed everyone's mind.
Yeah, because if the way that I understand it is that he kind of had some ammunition on, like, I could change my vote and get someone else to change their vote so that it would be like Heather and Amanda. Because if he sided with Colby, because apparently Colby had voted for Amanda. We saw that.
Yeah.
If Jonathan had voted for Amanda, it would have been a tie, and then something else would have happened. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be Colby going in.
Right.
It would be either Heather or Amanda.
Interesting.
Right? So
Yeah.
he had that in his pocket. That was the premise for my season with the Xander bombs thing. I threatened a tie as well. And that was the wrong thing to do to Kayla at that time. But so he had that power. And in order for them to keep control of it, they have to make a choice. And so he threw that at them, I think.
Yeah. And so then we have Caitlin trying to play both sides.
Yeah.
Trying to be... And I wonder if she watches it now and is like, wow, they didn't believe me.
Yeah, you never know. Because Caitlin has a very high opinion of herself and has an opinion about the other people.
Yeah.
And like it might have changed over time, but it's still her opinion.
Yeah. So we saw that, and then we saw Heather leave. And I'm afraid of what her Horcrux is going to be.
Yeah, what do you think it's going to be?
It's going to be something covered in goop. I'm going to go with like a hand or like something from the
goo pile.
Yeah. Something that's been discarded. That's
Right.
what I believe is going to be her Horcrux.
Aww.
Yeah. And on that note, I think we should head into predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
This music is perfect for
Yeah.
next week's episode, which is horror themed.
Horror.
Yeah, so the promo is just Jonathan trying to figure out how to say the word horror. So at this point, I have no idea. I think I like Jonathan. Apparently, I'm not a horror person. I don't like scary things.
I mean, it is King of the Nerds, so it can only get so scary.
Yeah. So it's probably I mean, I feel like it might be similar to the like Monty Python Questy, where like it was themed,
Sure,
but it wasn't taken seriously.
Right. Plus, there's like we haven't really explored the nerdy realms of the horror genre. Like on my season, we had a zombie type challenge with the Nerd Off, but like there are zombies, vampires, werewolves. Like there's this whole category of nerdy horror stuff that has yet to be explored on King of the Nerds.
But in the promo, it looks like just a bunch of decapitated. It looked like a Halloween store.
Right.
Or like a haunted house where stuff jumps out at you, and that is something I hate. Hate.
Right. I love haunted houses. It's one of my favorite things.
No, they're the worst. So let me find my list of
Predictions.
the teams so I can predict who's still around. So on House Hulavu, we still have Lily, Ben, Rachel, Caitlin. And on Smash, we have Colby, Amanda, and Jonathan.
Right.
Have we had where it's just one team left?
Yeah. Our season.
Yeah.
Katie had to go over to the gold team because we were dominating. But it hasn't gotten to that point because it's 4-3.
Right. But I'm trying to, what do I think is going to happen in horror? I think Jonathan's out of his depth.
Right. Do you think there's anybody that kind of like specializes in horror or from their specialties would have an advantage?
I think Lily and Amanda could do well in horror. Because,
from like cosplay.
Yeah, from cosplay and like
reading.
Yes. I think Jonathan and Caitlin and Colby are going to be very like...
Well, Colby has the trivia background.
Yeah, but I feel like that's going to have nothing to do with or not be helpful in any way. That is my prediction.
And then is Ben just like the wild card? Or Ben and Rachel?
Ben and Rachel are the wild cards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Those are my predictions.
Is someone going to throw something next episode?
No. Why is no one? I'm sorry. I know that they're nerds and that we're not only are we not athletic, but we are not violent.
Yeah.
But I want some throwing. I've recently been very much into violence, apparently, and
Right?
that's not good.
You might get your fill of violence this next episode with horror.
Oh, yeah, it looks like somebody has to beat the heads. The, like, decapitated heads.
Yeah.
Okay, prediction.
Here we go.
For whatever, I don't know for what, but for something, they have to beat a decapitated head with a bat or a stick or something, and a clue has to fall out. Like, they have to beat it out like a piñata.
Sure.
And it will come out covered in goo.
Yeah.
Red goo this time.
Right.
Not glue-based.
We're all about the goo in the Fear Factor.
Gross. That's my prediction. I also predict that we will get a fun celebrity guest. It unfortunately will not be Penn Jillette.
No. He probably won't be coming back for this season.
But I feel like horror, I feel like magic and
Kinda.
horror can go together.
Yeah.
Also, he was on Sabrina. So
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
how could you?
I'm sorry.
He was the head of the Witches' Council.
It's true. It's
he
true.
was Drell.
He was.
Please.
So
I
do
know
you-
Sabrina.
So House Huluvu has Lily, who you think has an advantage, and Smash has Amanda. Do you think that one team has an advantage over the other?
I think
going into the Nerd War?
Yeah, I mean, Huluvu has
With more people?
More people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think definitely, especially because Huluvu not only has more people, but they have less people who I think are out of their element.
Mm-hmm.
So Smash has Amanda, who I think will excel, but she also has two people that I have said will crash and burn.
With Colby and Jonathan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that she's screwed.
And of the remaining players left, like we're closing in on it's episode 6 out of 8.
Oh my god.
So it's coming into the individual competition. Who do you think has the best standing right now with like alliances or their gameplay?
I think
to do well in individual.
I would say until this episode, I think Jonathan, because he points out that he had an alliance with everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that he actually, by revealing the alliance
to Caitlyn,
he has lost everyone's trust.
And
I think that everyone will be like, we don't.
Well, it seems like Caitlyn and then Rochelle are both on his side, and that by extension includes Colby in a way.
That said, I felt like Caitlyn is like, I'm gonna do this until it's, I'm gonna do this for now.
Right. There's no loyalty.
Yeah. No, Caitlyn is in it for herself.
Right. So who do you think is strongest then in the individual game coming into it?
I feel like it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Caitlyn's got that one, she's very strong player. Yeah. She's very smart. She's got the academics. Mm-hmm. She's got the, I want to say heartlessness, but I mean that in like the best way.
Sure, like the game mentality.
Yeah. But I think that anything nerd culture will just, she'll be screwed.
Yeah.
But the My Little Ponies, ponies are awful.
Yeah.
No, but My Little Pony. No, all ponies are devious. Awful. Devious.
Or whatever.
Yeah. No, they're the worst. Horses. Horses.
The animation's got to make it in.
Yeah.
Was it the knight made an appearance again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think that Colby, I think his heart is becoming stone. In a good way. In a good way.
As they reveal more of him as a like human like character, he's getting more and more removed from the attachments.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I say things and then I have Xander here to make it awesome. And I think that he's gonna take someone down on his way out. That's what I believe. Those are my predictions.
Yay!
Awesome. Thank you so much, Xander.
Of course.
Thank you, Heather, for talking with us. Xander, why don't you tell the people where they can find you on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere else?
You can find me on Twitter at Xanderific, 2 R's, 1 F, and on YouTube at youtube.com/XanderVlogs with an X. And then I'm all over the internet.
Okay. And of course, you can find me online at yael.tv. That's YAEL.tv. Also, recently just launched Tipsy Torah, which is a drunk history parody, available on YouTube, on the interwebs. Watch it. It is hilarious.
Hey.
Also, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, Facebook at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. We will see you next week. Curtis will return.
Yay! Papa Nerd.
Here on AfterBuzz.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.